You're listening to Demand and Disrupt, the podcast for information about accessibility, advocacy, and all things disability.
Welcome to Demand and Disrupt, a disability podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Parsley.
And I'm your co-host, Sam Moore. Kimberly, it's hard to believe we are in August.
It is so hard to believe kids will be going back to school. A lot of kids went back to school this week, and my kids go back next week.
And I'm sure they're excited, aren't they, Kimberly?
Oh, them or me? Which do you mean?
Well, we'll go ahead and ask you too.
It's an exciting time. August always seems like a fresh start, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And it's chaotic in a lot of ways, especially for school families, kiddos and parents. But it makes, if nothing else, it makes August go by fast.
Anything to make these dog days of summer go by fast, right?
Right. Absolutely. You need all the help you can get.
100%.
I'm just glad it cooled off a little bit since last time we talked.
Well, I think the last time since we talked, it cooled down. Now it's heating back up. So
yeah, it still seems comfortable compared to those 100-degree heat index days, but
yeah, exactly. So
I guess that put things in perspective for me.
I was telling somebody the other day, I would just give anything just to hear some thunder. Not that I want a storm or nothing. It's just when you're blind, all these sunny days are so boring.
Never thought of it like that.
It's like one sunny day after another. It's hot and it's buggy. I would just love to just hear some thunder.
They need to listen to the intro of that Garth Brooks song. Thunder Roll.
It's always Garth Brooks with you, Sam.
It's always but there's thunder at the beginning of that song.
There is. You're right.
And there's thunder at the end. So they just need to listen to that song.
That's what I need to do to get my fix of some different weather, huh?
But you're right. That's not the first Garth Brooks reference that
you've made. No. Sayer and I used to, during the summer when it would get really, really hot like this, we used to watch the movie The Grinch and drink hot chocolate and try to pretend that it was nice and cold outside.
That would get, cold thoughts going through your mind anyway.
Exactly.
Plus, it's like Christmas in July is getting more and more popular now in like stores and stuff. So that, makes the Grinch kind of sensible in July or June.
Exactly. So we've got heat here. I don't know what they have in Northern California, but that's where my guest is from today. She is Carrie Cesarigo, and she is from the Bay Area of California. She is a popular book blogger, and she's going to tell us all about that. She is a wheelchair user. She's going to talk about ways that she personalizes her mobility devices to add a touch of whimsy. So,
you said with like stickers and lights and things like that.
Yeah, she does all manner of stuff. So I'm going to talk to her, had a fascinating conversation with her. And I used to write romance novels, and I remember following the blog that she writes for years ago, like nearly 20 years ago. I think the blog itself just celebrated its 20-year birthday. So, I was following
she's a veteran blogger.
I'm not sure if she came on right at the beginning or a little after. I'm not sure. But yeah, I've been following her for her work for a long time. So she's very interesting and wonderful to talk to. I think everyone will enjoy it.
Oh, sure.
So, Sam, you got to tell me, how are things going with the Taffy shenanigans?
There you go. You remembered again.
I did. I remembered.
I'm so proud, Kimberly. Yes, the play that I'm in, it's progressing. Let's see. We're now a little over 2 weeks until showtime. So you'll be glad to know. I think last time we talked, I had 20% of it memorized. I think we're about up to 50 now, Kimberly. So, we're making progress.
Well, I'm impressed. Seems like you need to step it up a bit. But
we celebrate small victories, but anyway, I've we got 2 more weeks, so nothing shall be completely memorized before it's time. But yes, if any of you are looking for something to do that weekend and you're in reasonable commuting distance to Henderson, it's August 23rd. That Saturday night at 7 o'clock at Preston Arts Center, and then Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock at Preston Arts Center. We're going to have a matinee, Kimberly. So I'm sacrificing my Sunday afternoon nap time.
Oh, oh, that's a big deal. That's
to
a
be
big
part
deal.
of this play. So they ought to be really honored and flattered, don't you think?
I do. Absolutely. And now, what's the name of the character you play?
Well, I'm just Sam, but
Just say.
yeah, I don't have a special name, but I own the radio station in the hometown of the playwright, Taffy, Kentucky, and that's where Bob Park, the playwright, grew up, and so I'm owning and operating this new radio station they've got, and I go through an off and on relationship with a woman that I've fallen in love with. So I won't spoil how it ends, but
Oh, wow. Okay, great.
but there is that saga going on in addition to my on-air pursuit. So it'll definitely keep you awake, to say the least.
Well, that sounds great. Now, would y'all have do y'all do what's it called? Dress rehearsal and everything beforehand?
Yeah, dress rehearsal will probably be that Friday night, right before the Saturday show. So probably be the day before, but we'll actually be, I think most every day that week will be a rehearsal of some sort. That's a pretty full week.
I bet. So
that's when it'll really get real.
Well, yeah, you'll have to, as the kids these days say, you'll have to lock in, Sam.
Yes, lock in. That's a common sports term too.
Is it? I didn't know about the
stay
sports.
Focused. So yes, we'll definitely have to lock it in that week.
Definitely. So sounds like you're doing a lot, and are you in this? Are there a lot of your friends and stuff doing this, or is this just your theater group community of people?
Yeah, well, I've made a lot of friends through it, and I knew some of them going in because the playwright Bob Park goes to my church, and several people that have been with him for these plays go to my church. But I didn't know, all the people that have been in these plays until I finally did my first one, I guess about 6-7 years ago, and so I've met a lot more people through that, and it's become a pretty tight-knit group. So that's a notable perk for sure.
Definitely. One of the things that Carrie and I will talk about is she mentions how many people she met at a popular convention that they have there in the Bay Area called
BayCon.
BayCon, yeah. That she mentions that, and so it got me thinking about community and where we find it, and of course, conventions. We're just now getting over convention season for us blind folks.
The ACB and the NFB both had their national convention.
National conventions. Yep. In their national conventions. I think ACB was in Dallas. NFB, was it in New Orleans again?
New Orleans. I guess I knew the ACB was Dallas because, my Support Alliance for the Visually Impaired group that I'm a part of out of Owensboro, they're an ACB chapter, so we hear all about their stuff. But yeah, NFB and New Orleans is a great city too.
Oh, I would love to have gone. I'm a member of ACB, but you can be a member of both
one and still attend the other.
Yeah. I would love. I bet that would be so fun to go to New Orleans with a bunch of other blind people. I bet
I'd like to go down there and eat jambalaya and red beans and rice all week.
I think a hotel full of blind people is one thing, but a hotel full of drunk blind people, that's something else.
That's a whole nother animal.
And wouldn't it be fun though?
It might be fun. The custodians next morning might have their work cut out for them, but it would definitely be fun. It would. The desk clerks and anybody else lollygagging around the motel while the blind drunk community was there, they definitely have some stories to tell, I bet.
I think that's the way to see New Orleans, really, is to go as a blind person with all your other blind friends at the NFB. I think that would be wonderful. But they do a lot of good work. I know they got a lot of business done there. ACB the same. So
sure.
So, yeah, I mean, I have been to 2 national conventions of ACB, no, three national conventions.
They had one in Louisville.
They did. They had.
Ago.
I think they had them in Louisville 2 years in a row, maybe, or close together. So I did go to Louisville. I didn't stay there. I just went during the day. During the days.
You commuted back and forth from Bowling Green.
So I've been to 3 of those conventions, and they're fun. They're great
and informative.
So informative. You learn so much. The people you meet, and I mean, you can learn a lot from other people, and that's.
Oh yeah, and I've zoomed in on some of them, even though I haven't actually attended any of the ACB national conventions and stuff in person. I have zoomed in on a few of the presentations and stuff that sound interesting, and yes, they are definitely well worth your time, even if you're just zooming to check it out.
Yeah, they are. You learn a lot. You learn about all the things that are happening. Yeah, it's
Indeed.
Really, really great stuff. And now you were saying that in terms of community sports and sporting events provide a lot of that for you, right?
I think, sports do tend to bring people together a lot, at least a lot of the people that I hang out with. So I enjoy going to baseball games. In the summer, we have a college team, a college league team here in Henderson called the Henderson Flash that, I like to go to games with a few buddies of mine. And, a lot of times we'll spring for a St. Louis Cardinal game or, this summer I also went to a Louisville Bats game. Of course, that's a AAA team in Louisville. For those of you that don't know, I've got a college buddy that lives up there. And so he and I went to a Bats game. So, yes, I find community in terms of sporting events fairly often, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, now we talk about fandoms, online fandoms and stuff, and the good, the bad, and the ugly that goes with that. But sports, that's the original fandoms right there, right?
Yes, that's that's. I'll have to look up how the fanatic term was first coined, but I'm sure it was a sports nut that coined it, whoever it was.
It might have been, and we're real lucky. Like here, I can go to Nashville or Louisville, and of course, you're close to, like you said, well, not too far from St. Louis, and then also Louisville, and I don't know how far are you from Cincinnati?
From Cincinnati, it's probably about 3.5 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Bowling Green 2, and then it's another hour and a half.
Yeah, and of course I can go on down to Atlanta if I really wanted to, which I don't, because I don't go places if I don't have to.
Yeah, I know. Your all-time favorite place is your residence there on Old Train Road. I know.
I like to be just here is where I like to be. But I mean, COVID was terrible, and no denying that. But one of the good things that did come out of COVID is a lot more thought was given to online community and online social gathering. And
it opened up more opportunities for you, right?
There, especially for those of us with transportation challenges, which you and I undeniably have. And so,
so it definitely opened up some, avenues for us there to enjoy ourselves from the comfort and privacy of our own home. And speaking of sports, Kimberly, I know you're not the biggest sports nut in the world, but I know you've been known to go to a few Bowling Green Hot Rods games.
I do. I like that stadium. It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do that.
They've got other stuff besides the game that you can amuse yourself with.
Yes. Oh yeah. They have all kinds of stuff. I mean, you can go to a sporting event now and never pay attention to the game at all and still have a grand time,
Oh yeah. Yeah, especially if you like hot dogs and cold beer, you're gonna be happy.
Well, yeah, exactly. And so just community is important wherever you can find it, right?
Yes, exactly. However, wherever, it's just it's important for us all to find community somewhere.
That's right. And speaking of community, we have our own community of disruptors, which is what we
Yes.
now call.
That's what we call our fans.
That's what we call our fans. They're the best fans. So I did get an email from a woman named Chastity, and she reached out in response to the conversation I had with Keith and Carissa about navigating the healthcare system. And she brought up something that I had never thought about before, and that's she's entering a drug rehab program, and the trouble that she's having getting accommodations.
Well,
and
I'll be gosh darn.
I had never thought about that. And she said people don't understand that because she has a phone and she can use her phone, because of course there's a magnifier or you can dictate. People think that because she has a phone, she ought to be able to read a worksheet. As you and I know, that's not the way it works.
Not exactly. You can't just assume.
Right.
That. And just because she might have said she can walk home doesn't mean that she's able to, complete her assigned tasks there through rehab.
Right. Walking home on a route, on a sunny day versus getting to the right room in a building. Those are two very different animals. And
especially when, you're having vision issues, or you've got vision loss of any kind, and maybe the numbers on the rooms are pretty small and hard to read.
Very hard. I hated to hear that, but I'm glad she reached out.
Yes, and it's not something that either Kimberly or I can relate to personally, because we've not been in rehab. But if any of you or some folks have disabilities and have experience in a rehab setting, why don't you email us and fill us in on your experiences?
Yeah, let us know let us know your experience and how we can help.
Maybe how we can help Chastity. We thank you for listening, by the way, Chastity.
Absolutely. And she's really struggling with this issue. So if our disruptors can reach out, just let us know if you have any tips or tricks, if you know how this might be overcome, how it might be navigated. That would be a great help.
The address is real hard to remember. It's demandanddisrupt@gmail.com.
There you go. There it is. You could say it in your sleep. You hear it so much.
Exactly. So, at least I can.
Absolutely. We do. We do love to hear from our disruptors, and
absolutely
love to hear all your story ideas and all that. So I guess at this point, Sam, I am going to say farewell to you, and we will hear my interview with Carrie Cicerigo. I am joined today by a book reviewer, Carrie Cicerigo. Hello, Carrie. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. You said my last name correctly. That's so amazing. I'm truly honored.
It's a tough one. I have been a fan of your work for years and years and years. Carrie is a book reviewer for it was a blog. Now it's the podcast is called Smart Podcast, Trashy Books. It's a romance novel podcast. And originally it was a website back when blogging was new and cool and all the cool kids were doing it. And the blog is called Smart Bitch Trashy Books. Yes. And I don't know if I can say that, so I might just have to bleep that word, but I think people will figure that out. So
and it's still a website, a very active website. So honestly, I don't do anything much with the podcast part. Almost all the stuff I do is with the website. We have all kinds of posts on the website, and then they just started a spin-off website called Smart Big After Hours, which is extra content that is for fee. So we have part of it is free and part of it is for a fee, for subscription based.
And is it all still romance novel or romance centered, or is it expanded?
It's romance novel centered, but I feel like it's expanded a lot. So it's I have the great pleasure of pretty much getting to review almost anything that I want, which is amazing. I have 3 regular features on Smart Books After Hours now. So one of them is a tarot post. So I do a monthly group tarot reading.
Oh, that is so cool.
And then I also do After Dark at the Movies, and I get to review. My rule is it has to be a movie I can watch from home, and I don't want to have to pay for it unless other than what I'm already paying, for my Netflix subscription or whatever I'm using. And so I try to review kind of offbeat movies or movies that are older movies or that have a cult following or not a lot of mainstream coverage. Just fun, weird stuff. And then I also do Kick-Ass Women in History on the main page, which
Wow.
is where it's a nonfiction thing where I try to profile different historical women every month. And then I also we have full-length book reviews and we have what are called lightning reviews. So those are book reviews that are just shorter. Maybe we just didn't have quite as much to say, but we had enough that we wanted to throw in our 2 cents. And most of what I review is romance and science fiction. And I also end up reviewing quite a bit of horror, even though our website isn't really involved in the horror genre at all. But there's been a lot of feminist horror and in the recent years. And so I talk about that quite a bit.
Cool. So who is your favorite kick-ass woman in history?
Well, I do not have a favorite. I could not possibly pick a favorite. I can tell you that right now, for my After Dark at the Movies, I in July, I'm going to be reviewing The Damned, which is a little independent international horror movie about these Icelandic fisher folk, and of the crew of 8, 2 of them are women, and it's set in the 1800s. And then when I started Googling around, I found out that Icelandic women have been fishing for hundreds and hundreds of, well, since forever. And so I'm going to be writing a kick-ass woman post about Icelandic women in the fishing industry. So that's what I'm working on right now. Other than that, I don't really have a favorite, but I've really enjoyed writing. That particular monthly post takes forever to do, but I really enjoy doing it.
Listeners of the show will know that I love books. I love reading. So I could talk to you about that all day, but that's not all we're here to talk about. So the reason that I reached out to you is because you put something on a post about adding whimsy to your mobility device. So I'm wondering if you can kind of tell me about your disability and about your device.
Sure. So my disability issue is somewhat hard to sum up. I have a clinical diagnosis of Noonan syndrome, which is a genetic syndrome that affects many parts of the body. And in my case, most of those issues involve my skeletal system and my connective tissue. So as a child, I had a lot of surgeries to try to sort of stabilize everything. And now that I'm older, I'm 52, and I have a lot of arthritis. So in a lot of places, it ranges from mild to severe, depending on where it is. So gradually over time, and particularly over the last, I'd say 10 years or so, things escalated to where or I guess I should say deteriorated, to where I had to start using mobility devices. And luckily for me, I'm part of several wonderful supportive communities, but one place that was where I found a lot of help was a science fiction convention called BayCon, which is held July 4th weekend in California. Find it, Google BAYCON 25, and you'll find it, not to be confused with bacon that you eat. BAY, okay. As in it's a convention in the Bay Area.
Gotcha.
In California, yes. And a lot of people it's a very small convention. And as a result of its being small, people make very, intense relationships that last for a long time. Now I just refer to it as my family reunion convention.
That's great.
And a lot of the people who attend it have varying levels of disability. And so over the last decade or so, they really have mentored me and talked to me about how to feel more positive about mobility devices. And the best piece of advice that I kept getting over and over again was when, when you get whatever mobility device you're using, make it your own, bling it out, make it yours. And I found that doing that has really changed my relationship to my various things that I use.
Mm-hmm. So can you describe what you've done, say, to your current devices?
Yeah, sure. So I started with I don't know, I experimented with lots of different stuff, but our story really begins when I started using a walker, and I was very resistant to using a walker. I did not want to use a walker. I think it's actually a rollator. I don't know, because I took parts of it off, whatever. I was not happy about this, but I started putting stickers on it. And I discovered, first of all, that I'm sure many of our listeners have found, I think we feel like when you start using a mobility device, it means that you've had sort of a setback and your world is getting smaller. But actually, once you start using the device, your world gets bigger. You can do more and more. So, of course, that was wonderful. But also, the more stickers I put on it, the more people interacted with me differently. And now people don't seem to see the walker as a walker. They see it as this giant collection of stickers. I mean, it's the kind that has a seat. So the seat now is covered with overlapping stickers, and I have smaller stickers going up and down the legs of it. So, I mean, we're talking about a lot of stickers. And so now, like, I really like kids, and tiny little kids are fascinated by it because they're shiny and they're bright colored and they're sparkly, right? So it's changed my relationship with the walker. Now I kind of like showing it off. And it also changes the way people interact with the walker and with me. Now it's sort of an interesting object of positive curiosity as opposed to like something where people are like, shh, don't stare at our walker. Everyone stares at my walker because it's cool.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Now, does that ever get you too much attention?
No, it gets
No.
just the right amount. Yeah, I really like it.
That
And
is
it's not like crowds gather around it or anything, it's not that cool. It's just interesting enough to be kind of a conversation starter.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, not yet, but more stickers.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I've upgraded to where for longer days and longer distances, I've started using a electric wheelchair. And so I'm trying to figure out how to bling out this electric wheelchair. The tricky thing with it is that the best thing about it is that it's very lightweight and foldable and easy to get in and out of my tiny little Toyota Prius. So if I stick a bunch of stuff on it, right, then it's gonna be hard to get in and out. And the whole point of this particular wheelchair, the reason we chose this one for me, is that it's easy to get in and out. So I don't want to get too carried away. But I have definitely started making some strides. Like I named it. I just got a butterfly backpack for the back of it. I put buttons on the back, which keep falling off. If anybody can tell me why buttons never stay on anything, please.
Like the buttons, like the pin buttons, or what kind?
Yeah, no, not like sewing buttons, like pin buttons,
Pin
right?
buttons, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Huh.
And this is very exciting. I haven't put them on yet, but I just got these wheel lights that you put them around the rim of the wheels, and when the bike is stationary, they look kind of like fairy lights, like tiny little Christmas lights. Now, supposedly, they're actually made for bicycles, and when the bike is going, they sometimes will make these really cool light patterns. I've heard that wheelchairs often don't go fast enough to make that light pattern happen, so I don't know if that will happen or not, but I think it'll be fun just to have little twinkly lights on it.
Oh, that's that very fancy, very fancy. What color is your chair overall?
It's blue. I really like blue and purple, and this is blue, so I named it the Blue Beetle.
Blue beat. I love that. Uh-huh.
Because it's small and it's blue and it's fast. Also, I'm not really into this particular character, but if you're a comic book fan, the Blue Beetle is a superhero, and what gives them their superpowers is their blue like exoskeleton that makes them go faster and further and stronger than they did before. So I felt like that was kind of a fun little extra layer to the name.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. The only comic book, it's not even from the comic book, is from the movies that I know much about is just the X-Men because, genetic mutation. Hi,
Right?
I'm
Yeah.
right here. So
Oh yeah. Actually that. Yeah.
yeah, so that's the only thing I know. But the Blue Beetle I have heard of. So that is fascinating. It's interesting. One of the things in the early days of Smart Bitch Trashy Books, I would read when I was in my office, when I was working, only on my lunch break, of course.
Of course.
Only then, right?
Then.
And it is so interesting that romance is such a welcoming community. It seems to be. I mean, certainly there are notable exceptions to that, but I felt when I was on that site interacting in terms of comments or whatever that I felt accepted as a disabled person.
I'm so happy to hear that. That's wonderful. That's I know is what we're going for, and I can't take a lot of credit for that.
Oh, sure you can. Just go on ahead. It's fine.
Oh yeah, no, it's on me. Really, truly, the tone was set when I first got there. So we just had our 20th anniversary, and I came on in 2010. So, oh my gosh, that's a long time. What's that, 15 years?
A lot of book reviews, huh?
Oh my God. So by the time I started, right, they had already been around for 5 years, and they had established a tone that was kind of serious and irreverent at the same time. Like they really took their work seriously, but also were very humor-based and fun, and very inclusive and accepting. And of course, a lot has changed in the internet landscape over the past 20 years, and certainly since 2010. And I have learned so much since then and grown so much. Full disclosure, I'm a tiny little white lady, and I'm cisgendered, and so I have a lot of privilege. And so that site has writing for that site has really helped me level up and continue to level up in a lot of ways. And I think that a lot of that is due to our readers, and a lot of it is due to Sarah, who co-founded the website along with Candy. And Sarah is kind of runs the show and is also the editor. And she has called me out several times when I needed to check myself. And we've gotten in some big arguments. And I'm sorry to say it's so freaking irritating. She is always right. Every bleeping time. Every time. Could I not be right once? No, never. So, a lot of credit goes to her. And I will also say that we still get a lot of comments on the site, but when it started, commenting blogs and websites were extremely interactive, right? We would get hundreds of comments on things sometimes. And she really moderated very, very well. And I think that moderation made a really big difference in establishing a tone of respect. And as she did that, the community really sort of, people who were attracted to that stuck around, and, kind of, I don't know, that once the tone is set, people will sort of self-reinforce that tone.
Mm-hmm. Right, right.
Of mutual respect and inclusion.
Right. And I mean, like there's a series that is on, and I'll link to the website and to the podcast and things in the show notes. And there's something called Cover Snark, which I believe must be like the most popular feature. And as with things that you love dearly, you can look at them and make fun of them without it taking away from the love of a thing. And that is what SBTB, we will call it, does with the romance genre. And some of the covers, anyone, my listeners who can see, some romance covers are kind of out there. They're sort of ridiculous. And what I loved from the very beginning was when the website did Cover Snark, there was text describing what it was. So like I didn't miss out just because I couldn't see the actual image of the cover.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt so included, in the jokes and in the things. And it was just so great. So I'm always got a soft spot in my heart for SBTB and all you ladies there who do so much fine work.
Oh, that's wonderful. And it's very motivating because I had to learn how to use alt text, and I'm still learning how to use alt text, right? Like how detailed of a description do I need to go? And there's a point where you've already written the whole review and you're like, yeah, I'm done. And then you have to put the image in, and then you put the alt text in, and now you're like, well, wait, now I've got to, write about this image. And you always think, does anyone even use alt text? And now I'm like, yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So many
do.
people do. Yes, they absolutely do.
And very motivating. And again, that's a Sarah thing. I think if left to my own devices, I wouldn't have done it on purpose. A lot of discriminatory things people do, they do out of ignorance or they do unconsciously, right? So I wouldn't have been like, wah ha ha, I'm going to make sure that Kimberly can't know what this is about, right?
Right.
It
No.
would not have occurred to me because people don't think fully about the experience of others sometimes. And so Sarah was always very, as soon as alt text became a thing that we could use, she became really adamant that we had to make sure to use it.
Well, tell her I said thank you. I'm
I
very
will.
grateful.
I absolutely will.
I still read Cover Snark. It is one of the highlights of whenever it comes out. It is one of the highlights of my day, if not the highlight of my day that day. So
I will tell her for sure.
So how do you, whimsy is obviously very important to you. That's your word, whimsy, expressing yourself, however you want to call it. How do you incorporate that into other areas of your life?
Well, okay. So for instance, I had a hip replacement in 2023. And since then, that hip has, because of my other problems, it didn't really take. So it keeps popping out. So now I'm supposed to limit my bending, blah, blah, blah. And I had to get all these grabbers. So I went on Etsy, which God bless Etsy, where would we be without it? And I got all this like patterned duct tape and I decorated the grabbers with duct tape. Now I would love to tell you that because I did that, I used my grabbers instead of bending over because that was the goal, right? It hasn't been as successful as some of my other projects. I'm still bending over too much and not using the grabbers, but they certainly are more fun to look at now. So I put the duct tape on them and I do different things in different parts of my house. I do tarot readings, so I have a bookcase where I have certain tarot cards that I display and I rotate around from. There's a group of us online that trade tarot cards the way you would trade Pokemon, right? Or Magic and Gathering cards. So they're all mismatched. So I have a string of the little fairy lights and I clip the different tarot cards to them. I enjoy that. I still enjoy stuffed animals. I'm not as that crazy about the word whimsy. I feel like it, but I'm not sure. And I thought about a lot about why I'm not crazy about that word, but I'm not sure what I would replace that word with. Playfulness, maybe. I really like incorporating elements of magic and play into my daily life as much as I can.
I have Braille tarot cards. I
Get
do.
out.
I do. Now they're just the basic Rider Waite deck.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy. They're bigger, obviously. I think to fit more braille on them. But yep, braille tarot cards.
Okay,
So cool.
so okay, now the podcast is going to be about your tarot cards. So are the lines of the images, I don't, are they, I apologize because I'm not well educated in visual disability stuff. Are they raised so you can feel the image?
They are not, but they should be. That's a great idea. But no, they're not. It's just that they are brailled, like it will say like the world card, and it'll have the number. I don't remember what's that, like 21 or something. It'll have the number of the card, and then or it'll say like a Queen of Cups,
Okay.
stuff like that. But no, it just identifies the card, not raised line. Raised line graphics would be awesome though.
That would be super awesome. Somebody out there, maybe on Etsy, I don't know,
There you go.
make this happen. If I think about some that are now I want to go dig around my tarot card stuff. There are some tarot cards where they use like a gilded or shiny outlines, and I'm thinking, well, some of them might be a little bit three-dimensional, but certainly they could be made more three-dimensional. So I think someone should make that happen.
I think they should too. And if you find out that they do, you should let me know.
I will.
So I know what you're saying about when you have a disability, you're working, being functional, making things functional is so hard that you sometimes feel like, at least for me, I don't want to speak for you, but self-expression sort of gets lost in the what's easy, what's functional, what's affordable, those kinds of questions. And so for me, I also have profound balance problems. So I'm sorry, I'm wearing Converse, Crocs, or Birkenstocks. That's it. There's not going to be any high heels. There's nothing like that happening. So my Crocs that I wear, I try to find the most outrageous Crocs. Like I have some that are silver and sparkly. And I have my most recent pair are pink with red cherries on them.
I love that.
Which, so that makes me happy because, I have it. Crocs not known for being the most stylish of footwear, but hey, mine are at least attention grabbing, if nothing else. So
I have to wear these foot and leg braces, and the part of the braces goes down into the shoes, which are these special order shoes. But I was delighted that I could order them in shades other than brown or gray or black, because I've been wearing some kind of orthopedic shoe since birth, and I am so sick of that. So mine are my orthopedic shoes are teal, and then I have the foot and the leg braces that go into them. And then I also had briefly a hip brace that I was quite depressed about. So I made myself feel better by sticking these Velcro patches all over it. And then I promptly stopped wearing the hip brace because it hurts my back. Like I think, there's some people have disability where it affects like one part of their body, but I feel like it's really common for people to have disability that affects like lots of different parts. So then you're sort of like trying to negotiate between all the different parts. So my super whimsical hip brace is not in use very often, but I did feel a lot better about it once I put the patches on it.
There you go. Yeah.
And now I'm trying to figure out what else I can stick those patches to. And of course, the first thing I thought was my wheelchair, but they won't stick to that kind of fabric. So darn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're kind of Velcro-y.
Velcro-y. Yeah.
Yeah. So get your listeners on the case. What should I do with these patches?
Yes, and I will ask my daughter because she is artsy. I am not even the slightest bit artsy. So artsy, craftsy kind of, that's not my thing at all. But I'm sure there must be something. I'm sure there must be.
I will say I'm still, when I use my wheelchair, I am ambulatory, so I get in and out of it quite a bit. So I'm not quite there yet, but One of the friends I made at Bacon uses a wheelchair pretty much full time, and she said that when she uses her wheelchair, I was talking to her because she had the most amazing silver stilettos on. And she was like, "Oh yeah, because when I wasn't using a wheelchair, I always had to wear orthopedic shoes, but I'm not walking, so I can wear any kind of shoe I want." And I was like, "Whoa." So,
That is so cool. That is finding the bright spot, right?
right? Well, I think that's what you have to do. And you're trying to shift your mind away from, "Oh no, I have to use this thing," to A, it's my thing and I own it and I'm proud of it and it's a conversation starter thing. And also B, like, what fun, whimsical, or powerful imagery can I or thing can I do to really seize this thing as my thing that is fun in some way?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That is so important, right? I mean, cars are functional, but they come in different styles and colors, right? Because
Right? Yeah.
people want personalization. So, since you're into books and we're talking about disability, I have to bring up the notion that so many people have, even people in the blind community, I must say, that listening to audiobooks is not actually reading.
Oh my God.
So, I would love to have you weigh in on that.
Okay, so confession, I don't listen to audiobooks because I kind of zone out. I am very much a visual reader, visual person. So for me, they aren't as effective as a written book. But having said that, you're it doesn't matter how you're consuming the written language or experiencing this language, you're still experiencing it. What freaking difference is there? Whether you hear it or you see it, it's the same text, right? It's the same thing. And there are assets too. I mean, the audiobook industry now is amazing. I mean, there are some very, very high level people doing narration, and there's audiobooks where you have like multiple people doing multiple voices. And why would you not want to enrich your experience in that way? I think that's fantastic. And yeah, it's the same text no matter
Mhm.
what. I mean,
Yeah.
I think sometimes audiobooks are abridged, in which case they say so, but sometimes the written text is abridged. Sometimes, and your experience is going to be different depending on how you soak it up, but you're still soaking up and processing the same. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. The same
No,
thing.
but it's worth saying again, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I will get readers who disagree with me, and they will write me, and I welcome that. Let's have that discussion. Absolutely. Let's all views welcome. It's just that, well, mine is the right one.
It is. And I don't really understand what case you can possibly make. I mean, but the majority of and I'm not a neuroscientist, so nobody should take this as facts. They should take it as a fuzzy opinion, okay? I think there are some different parts of your brain that are activated, whether you're listening to something or whether you're seeing something. But I don't think that those parts really have much to do with what I think is important about reading, which is experiencing the text, whether
Right.
it's fiction or nonfiction or whatever, right? You want the language, you want the ideas, you want the storytelling. You're going to get all of that. And a lot of people in the smart big community switch back and forth. A lot of people also in the smart pictures community switch back and forth between e-reader and paper reader. I switch back and forth between reading on paper, which is what I prefer, and reading on my phone because sometimes that's really handy.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, if you think about the earliest ways that we told stories were oral tradition, and the earliest ways we process stories as children is by being read to. And I think that that is a really powerful thing to hear something. And my preference is entirely based on how I best process things, but there's a variety of ways that people process things, and they're all valid. Um, I don't care whether it's an e-reader or a audiobook or a physical text. Um,
Right. Right.
they're
Now,
all they're the exact same words.
in closing, you've talked about your sense of community, of course, with SBTV and also with BACON. So I'm wondering, what do you think the disability community, for our listeners of Demand and Disrupt, what can the disability community do to become more connected, more cohesive, band together more?
In general, the communities that I have been part of that have been really nurturing, successful, non-toxic, healthy communities have been ones where you're bounded by a common interest, and that interest is what's important. And you draw really hard lines around the things that are harmful and poisonous, right? So things like transphobia, racism, sexism, ableism, homophobia, if I didn't already say that, all those things, right, are established from the beginning to be completely unacceptable, and that line is held consistently, and that sets a really important tone. And then once you've drawn those hard lines, then you don't have to draw a lot of other lines because it's really fun to debate about whether, Star Trek versus Star Wars or how you feel about dark romance versus cozy romance. The thing that you care about is the common interest. So whether or not somebody is able to run a marathon or whether or not somebody is uses a wheelchair to get around or any of these other considerations, they're they're part of what make us who we are, but they're not that important to the overall group. You're accepted regardless of your uh, other qualities because of your passion and excitement around that common interest. And keeping the focus on the passion and excitement around that common interest and making sure that everybody is respectful and keeping those hard lines about the things that matter, and then allowing for a really fun debate about the things that are of common interest but aren't poisonous things. They're fun things, right? Like, it's fun to talk about um, DC versus Marvel. That's a perfectly acceptable argument to have as long as it's respectful. And I think that when you cultivate that thing that we're mutually respectful and we're bound by this common interest, and within that common interest, we have a great time having mutually respectful arguments and discussions and raves and all the, talking about what we like and don't like. That's what makes a group really dynamic and fun and exciting, and also healthy and inclusive.
Well said again. Wonderful, because disability justice benefits everyone. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
excellent. Carrie Cesarigo, thank you very much for joining me today on Demand and Disrupt.
Thank you. It was really a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Demand and Disrupt is a production of the Advocado Press with generous support from the Center for Accessible Living based in Louisville, Kentucky. Our executive producers are me, Kimberly Parsley, and Dave Mathis. Our sound engineer is Michael Parsley. Thanks to Chris Ankin for the use of his song, Change. Don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. And please consider leaving a review. You can find links to our email and social media in the show notes. Please reach out and let's keep the conversation going. Thanks, everyone.
Just for once, I think I would agree. We both know there's a difference. We've had our curtain call, and this time the writing's on. disregard for good to set us free. There's just no way of knowing if love lives anymore. Turn out the light, then close the door. We tried to make things better, repair and rearrange things, but each and every letter spells out